Hello viewers and welcome to Daily Politics. I'm Hamza Idris. In Nigeria, the plight of at-risk children is a pressing concern that demands urgent attention. With over 47 million children living below the national poverty line, struggling to survive on less than 374 naira a day, and nearly 54 million children facing multiple deprivations in health, education and nutrition, the situation calls for effective interventions and policies to uplift these vulnerable young lives. President Muhammadu Buhari's administration had made a commitment to lift about 100 million Nigerians out of poverty and improve their lives for the better. This was also supposed to ease the challenges faced by at-risk children across the country. However, as the end of President Buhari's tenure is around the corner, it becomes crucial to evaluate whether his administration has fulfilled its promise and made a significant impact on the lives of these children and Nigerians in general. And to shed light on this matter, we have the privilege to interview Mariam Uwais, Hajia Mariam Uwais. She is the special advisor to the president on social interventions, social investments, and the project coordinator of the At-Risk Children Program. Her team has been at the forefront of implementing initiatives and strategies to support at-risk children, aiming at breaking the cycle of poverty and providing them with essential opportunities. Welcome to the program, Hajia.
Thank you so much for having me.
We're happy having you in the studio once again because it wasn't long when we hosted you.
Yes.
And you know, the other time, strictly it was about social interventions and all that. But we realized that there are more to that. And that's why we said, we pleaded that you should come again. We are happy you honored our invitation.
Thank you so much.
And viewers, we'll go on a short break. When we return, the conversation commences. Don't go away. Welcome back. Yes, Hajia, once again, welcome to the studio. The last time it was about general social interventions and all that. But this one, at-risk children, is actually like a specific program targeted at a certain vulnerable group. What informed it?
Well, there are statistics that are quite alarming on out-of-school children and street children and Almajiri children. And it's really, you know, we just call them children at risk. And the statistics range anything from 10 million to 20 million, according to UNESCO. And besides all of the statistics, every child is entitled to support. Every child is entitled to, you know, the opportunity of achieving their full potential. Unfortunately, these children have been around for so long that they've become like part of this landscape. And it has become critical because it's a clicking time bomb for us if we continue to ignore these children, you know. And so the office of the vice president did some brainstorming and decided to come up with this program that targets vulnerable groups, you know, minors, really, to see how we can integrate them into the society using resources that are available. Because when we started, we actually didn't have funds.
No funds for that?
No. We just took, approached different organizations.
This was in 2021, if I'm correct?
Yeah, 2020, 2021.
Yes.
End of 2020 is when we started. And it's been quite a fulfilling journey for us.
Okay, now what informed the decision to actually separate this from other interventions? I mean, we have quite a number saying, okay, we are targeting 100 million poor Nigerians, some say 50 million households, and all that.
Well, having gone through some of the programs that that target this same category of vulnerables, we realized quickly that it's typically about education. But our position is these children have been deprived of so much more.
Yes.
You know, so it has to be like a bouquet of opportunities that are offered to them, and especially because in the north, especially, the highest number are Almajiri.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's been very difficult to convince the Malams to allow these children to go into school, formal school. So we needed to come up with different strategies to see how we could convince them that indeed Islamia is very important, the Sangha school is very important, but you need to allow these children to grow and thrive in today's context. And so we came up with different ideas of how to convince them, to persuade them. We came up with incentives, but we also looked at what is required by these children. So we needed to come up with a new plan for these children that also has issues related to mental health, even vision. But one of the agencies that we engaged with said even in schools we have problems with children in public schools that have vision impairments. So we thought, of course, of skills, of sports, because you learn a lot from sports.
I saw that you have this, but before we get there, was there a baseline study that you conducted at initial?
The NESG, there's what they call the Policy Innovation Center that they institutionalized just last year. So we had worked with them under the Social Investment Program. Then it wasn't an institution, but now it is. So we approached them and asked them if they would do a baseline study for us. And they did. They compared information, that data that existed in the states that we were in with states that we were not in. And they came up with a report. But that isn't to say we waited for that report. We knew it is evident.
It's an existential problem. So you didn't wait for the formal data.
But we did commission that, and they came up with very interesting findings. But of course, we've continued to roll with it to ensure that with the plans that we have, because we're not off course really. We're working to ensure that as many children as we can actually benefit. But there's so many structural problems, you know, that one needs to look at. There's no way the federal government can usurp the powers of the state government in terms of primary health care, primary education,
they have to show
agriculture. So the state needs to lead. So we had to devise an MOU to see how, you know, the responsibilities of each level of government.
You did that?
Oh, yes. We did.
I mean, you sat with the 30 state governors?
No, I was asked to make a presentation to the NEC, the National Economic
as the coordinator
Council.
of this program.
Yes, the vice president asked me to make a presentation, and some of the state governors called us to say, please come and help us with this. Some states have not called us, which is maybe fortuitous because it's with time, and we're doing it in phases, and we didn't have the money in the beginning. So it was, you know, it's been a learning journey, and we had to, of course, engage the community, the traditional rulers, seek for their advice, for their support, the faith-based leaders, the civil society that exists, the state itself, the state officials. There was so much to do to try and understand the dynamics in that state.
And someone working on the street, if he sees ACP, because it looks like ACK and ACK, you know, ACP, and you call it at-risk children, people will ask questions in specific times. Who is at-risk child?
So, as I said, we needed to engage the states. So we have a stakeholder engagement at a point with the state where they call the different categories of stakeholders in that state. So it could be from everywhere. It's the traditional rulers, community leaders, youth, and some of the children too. And they tell us what their vulnerabilities or who those that are vulnerable are in that state, bearing in mind that they have to give us data. You understand? So we've seen adolescent girls in marriages, we've seen children on substance abuse, we've seen almajiri, we've seen commercial sex workers, we've seen all kinds, a wide range. These are the people we want you to support. Okay, we're ready to support them. In respect
and you tag them at risk. This is you know, the people at the grassroots.
And where you give us hawkers, we say, okay, give us the data of their mothers also. because there's an economic element there. If a girl doesn't go hawking, the mother doesn't get any money. So we want to also empower the mothers so that they will let the children remain in spaces where they learn. And the state also has to set up teams for implementation, an advisory board, and an implementation team. That implementation team consists of the different staff from the various ministries.
Yes.
And then the advisory board is people who may not even go beyond me. They may not be re-elected, or maybe the wife of the governor, or a very influential imam, or a grassroots mobilizer, people who are not part of the system, but who will ensure that who have influence and who will ensure that we have a solid foundation. They are the advisory board. The state also needs to commit to giving us data of the children and of youth in the communities. And then, of course, they need to set up what we call interim community hubs. These are places where the children converge in the communities where learning will happen.
Okay, so it's not necessarily that such communities have schools. Even if they don't have, you don't wait for for the building.
We don't have, as I said, we didn't have the money. So it is very interesting. You will find learning happening under trees or against a fence, and in some places in Sangaya schools.
I was actually very happy, before we started the program, when you showed me some photos, children under the, but they were smiling.
Yes, they're all excited. When you don't know about anything, you don't yearn for it. You understand? But now that the children are being introduced to foundational literacy and numeracy, they are eager to start school.
Yes, and this takes us to the 6 components, I think. When I checked the document you gave us, there are about 6 components that you wanted
that
to
we teach. We have 7 pillars.
Okay, 7 pillars, yeah.
Yes.
Because I want us to get it right, and maybe we take it one after, 7 pillars. The first one, you said basic literacy and numeracy. But before we get there, was there a marked difference in identifying these vulnerable children between the North and South?
Not really. Interestingly, in the South, only 3 states have called us. Of course, I've briefed everybody.
And we have 5 states in the Southeast. We have 6 in
so far,
South.
Anambra just called us.
Okay.
And then Ekiti was the first southern state. When I made the presentation, then Governor Fayemi was head of the Governors Forum.
Yes.
He said, come to us, and then Ondo State also invited us. So their own needs are different. We can't have a one-cap-fits-all situation.
Yeah.
They are looking, especially in Anambra, they're looking at the youth who have begun to, they have, some of them have become disruptive because they don't have any skills. So they're saying, can you help us? We'll give you the data of the youth who maybe are on substance abuse, all of that, and then we will work with them. In Ekiti, when we met with the stakeholders,
yes,
one of the chiefs said to us, we have a problem with young children. Our own out-of-school numbers are not high, but we have
it's not high.
It's not high. The children in school, 92%. But when children come back from school, and the time that their parents come back from work can be 4 or 5 hours. Can you put skills in so that we can because they can really get up to no good in that period.
Yes. 5 hours is such a long time.
They said, can you, and this is how we designed it for that state. So every state designs its roadmap
so it's
by defining,
specific,
defining what they want for. But of course, without a doubt, in the 6 northern states that we're in now, the largest component is Almajiri.
Yeah, and that is where I'm actually heading to. So this Almajiri, Hajia, you know that it is an existential problem in the north, and many attempts have been made. On record, former President Jonathan expended over 15 billion to build schools and all that. Was there a marked difference again between what was done by that administration and this administration in bridging the gap?
Well, I would say, I mean, it was a good attempt. I mean, who am I to even say good or bad? But there's a lot of infrastructure there. I feel one of the problems we have is a very strong focus on infrastructure.
Okay.
As against other things that are just as important. I'm not saying don't do the infrastructure.
Yes.
Do the infrastructure because we don't have enough schools anyway. But in doing the infrastructure, please also prioritize other things that are just important. Things like quality of teachers, you know. If the teacher is not good, the children will go to school. If you don't address the poverty of the father, social protection issues, the children will go to the farm or go to hawk, and your nice building will remain empty.
As we have now,
Yes.
because we conducted a study here in the Delhi Trust. Many of those schools, they are now
Empty.
rotting away.
Yes.
Because they have not been put to use.
Yeah.
And part of what we discovered was that there was no synergy, not enough synergy actually between the communities and
buildings.
those who were anchoring the
You see,
program.
part of the problem is actually structural. When we have a 4-year term, right? A governor, if he budgets money for education, for instance, would focus more on the tangible to say, this is what I did in my time.
Yeah.
But when you have to measure performance and quality over a period of 3-4 years, you know, that's when you will actually see a difference. Oh, this is so much improvement in this time. There are security issues. There are other issues like distance, you know, what can happen on the way. All of those issues need to be prioritized, but they're not, because they're not tangible.
Yes.
They are not things that can be pointed at and this is what I did in my time, unless it's almost, you know, through your term.
Yes.
But you can't, the thing you can point at is that building, that structure,
so every
that brick
person,
and mortar.
when he comes or she comes, they
That's what,
concentrate on
yes, and even for the private sector, there's a lot of focus on returns on investment. So they want to see the returns, they want to see the output, they want to see, you know, and some of these issues take time.
But maybe
before
it
you
appears it's a departure, your approach from that.
Yeah, I mean, I wish we had the Waqf or the, you know, different bonds, social bonds, because those are closely monitored and they're paid back over a period of time. That kind of financing would really support the other issues, because we need close monitoring when we have money.
Yeah.
Right? And unfortunately, what we see is that money is oftentimes wasted.
But I can see you are actually running against time to ensure that you do something with the little
that
you
we
have. But how did you penetrate parents that are resistant to maybe formal education and even community leaders? Because up to now, down north. But first, how many states? You said 6.
We have 6. We have 2 in the northwest, just by coincidence.
Yes.
Kaduna and Sokoto.
Okay, in the north.
The governors, yes. In the northeast, we have Borno and Gombe.
Wow.
And in the north central, we have Niger and Nasarawa.
So the rest, they are still looking to see.
Yes,
maybe you didn't make known to them that, you know, the financial.
I addressed NEC. You know, I don't know if I was meant to travel to each governor and say, please join this train.
Yeah.
You understand? Because every opportunity.
You didn't announce that certain billions were set aside for that purpose. That should
well,
bring
one or two governors said to me that how much money?
Oh, they asked for the money.
Oh yes, directly. Directly, that was the question. And it isn't really about money. It's about building capacity in the communities to be able to support these children. Because a lot of governors do the enrollment. You know, they've tried, especially during COVID, but nobody is really there to make sure that these children remain in school. And these little children have never been to the 4 walls of a classroom. They walk in there, there's a lot of writing going on, they can't connect. The teacher herself or himself is overwhelmed with the numbers in public schools. That's what I'm saying. They don't even notice when the children slip out. So a lot of the children that have been transported from one state to another, they are back.
Yeah.
They're back because there's really no, this is what informed our, okay, let's get them interested with foundational literacy. It's a different curriculum.
Which is the first pillar here,
yes.
The basic literacy and numeracy.
What really convinced them, a lot of the malams and the parents, is that we're teaching skills.
Oh.
And in
you
every...
You entice them with
skills.
What kind of skill? Maybe tailoring or knitting or...
Well, every state we pay for a skills need assessment. They give us the academic. We look at the CVs, we select one that has experience, and we say you have 2 weeks to go to the communities and engage them. Tell us what is viable, what is beneficial. And they come back with the report, they make a presentation, we ask questions, we finalize. Those are the skills that we focus on. Now, this thing about tailoring for women. How many poor women take sewing to tailors in the village, in the community? Not really. You can give them the sewing machines,
yes,
but they don't have the clients. You understand? So it was very interesting for me. In places like Sokoto, they brought us, like 6 or 7 different plants and seeds to see how do we develop a value chain for moringa, for dates.
Okay, that's agriculture.
Yes, most of it is agriculture.
Value chain around those products.
Yes, let's make spices, let's make soaps, let's make lotions, all of that.
Real handcraft of
yes.
sorts.
So what can you do, really? And of course, we look for the experts at federal level to go and do the training. So we're very lucky that NIPRID had a lady called Professor Jamila. She came to do a lot of training on traditional medicines. How do you preserve the medicinal and nutritional elements when you're developing this value chain? We're very lucky. NBTE has said in many of these communities we don't have master trainers, we don't have assessors, we don't have verifiers. These are like external examiners. We've developed modules. And so even local artisans can be trained to become all of this. And this gives us an opportunity to even penetrate the communities. So we were in talks with ITF, with SMEDAN. We even had, people who do skills across, come and talk to us. Can you do training for us?
Wow.
And we negotiate. Sometimes they're not very happy.
Yeah.
But we say, because we didn't have that money. Yeah, manage this money.
I'm surprised, honestly, when you mentioned this National Institute for Pharmaceutical Research and Development, instead of NDE or anywhere. I'm not trying to disparage any, but earlier you mentioned when I said knitting, because you see governors donating knitting machine, sewing machine, dryer, hair
so
dryer.
I'm a bit all of that. How many people actually in our rural communities do hairdressing or do makeup or buy beads? It's mostly about food, about agriculture, So this is what we're looking at, something that's sustainable, NDE, I went there in the beginning to go and talk to them because we had spoken with SMED and His Excellency, the governor of Katsina State, knows us because we went to him several times. NDE, unfortunately, was having problems with their leadership.
Serious one,
Yes.
We reported it.
Yes.
Maybe because of the enormous resources there.
I don't know. But the Minister of State who actually heads Festus Kayamo, he was very open to it. He led us there. I mean, he invited the NDE people, but it never really caught on. And we're not going to wait.
Because the time is not there.
Time is not there. In fact, we should have addressed this problem like 20 years ago.
Yes.
You understand?
Yeah.
So for me, every day we wait is one day too much for these children, honestly. So we just went ahead. And NIPRID, I asked NIPRID, the gentleman there, Dr. Owens, he very, very forthcoming man. He came to our office and I said to him, sir, please, do you do training? Because it's pharmaceutical research. And of course, I had met him several times before. He had helped Federal University of Dutse. They were working with, Black Plum. In Hausa, we call it Dinya.
Okay, Dinya,
Yeah, they were developing, the VC then had this town and gown project.
Yes.
They have inya in abundance.
Okay,
So they had the
Jigawa.
women, yes, and they had the women picking them and drying them, and the
To do
youth.
what with them?
They were doing tea and coffee.
Value chain.
Yes.
So are you now into collaboration maybe with research institutes?
Everybody that is ready to
academic centers
collaborate
and all
with us,
that?
because it's partnerships. I don't have that expertise. So I'm the first to say, I don't have it. You know, but you have it, and you are here for a purpose. So can your staff help us? And we invite them
Yeah.
for training.
You are the middle person of
Yes,
sorts.
yes, and
You-
we're
you
able,
coordinate
and
and-
it has been private sector, it has been development partners. UNODC approached us and said, we do have a program specifically for out-of-school children that's related to sports, and it has proved effective in 11 countries that have backgrounds similar to Nigeria, Brazil, South Africa, where you have
It
a lot.
worked like
It curbs violence, curbs substance abuse, curbs crime. We have the statistics. I said, please come. They brought the master trainer. It's called Line Up, Live Up.
okay.
They trained coaches from these states on the methodology of how to do some sporting. They have a list of 10 different sports. And then how they debrief the children afterwards. So you're in a room and they give you a cigarette and you're sitting with all your peers. You really don't, you know it's wrong,
Yes.
but you don't want to say no, you know, because you don't want to look like you're weak. How do you navigate that space? You understand? So they make them very conscious of discipline, self-restraint, you know, things like teamwork, you know, through those programs, and they've proved effective. So I said, we don't need to recreate the wheel. If we can get your people to come and support us, UNICEF has helped us also. The UNDP was, of course, some of the state governors said, we have problems in our community with security.
Yeah.
Okay, so our strategy really at ACP is to train young people who don't have jobs,
Yeah, to have one.
who live in the communities, 50 per local government. So they speak the language, they understand the culture. Give us 50% male, 50% female, especially in Almajiri states.
Yes.
Because many of those Almajiris don't have mothers.
Yes.
You know. Give us the data, and we will train them over a period of 3 weeks on different things. You see these skills, this foundational literacy.
Yeah.
We got for the curricula for it.
Yeah.
And of course,
you have curriculum for it?
yes, and we saw SAMI and the state, the adult non-formal, they have people that are trained to teach that
Wow.
foundation. So we said, please give us people, how much will it cost us? How much is an honorarium? How much is logistics for them to come? They come, they do the training. We had, we have paralegal. There's a lot of SGBV in the communities and a lot of suppression.
Very
so we
interesting.
asked Legal Aid Council,
Yeah.
please come and teach these young people how to be paralegals. And they come in and they do the training. We asked National Eye Center, oh, you don't need any expert. You need a young person to just hold a placard with some letters at a certain distance.
Yes.
You can identify the children who have impairment, vision impairment, and you can take those ones too. So these youth are being trained over technology. You give a little child that has no education a phone, that child will begin to manipulate it.
Yes.
So you don't need a degree to do that.
You don't.
We do technology. Then, as I said, security. We said, okay, these young people are there. They're in the communities. You know, they will be able to report to a hierarchy. Let's understand who it is that's in charge of security in that state. We know how to reach that person. Communal conflicts, when they start, new people, early warning signals, first aid. Once they train them on that, this is a private organization actually that does, we approached the police first, but we were not, they were not forthcoming.
It looks like a buffet. So
Yes,
this is, you are
but
doing
you
it.
see a
Yeah.
lot of, and the
Yeah.
NIM Foundation that's known for mental health,
Yeah.
because these children, many of them have been traumatized. Then General Mawa was so kind. He gave us a very, very, you know, energetic, enthusiastic staff.
All right, yeah.
So he joins us and he talks to the youth about about substance abuse, how to identify, how to, all of that came together at the training. Once we finished the training, we assign 50 children to each person.
Wow. I think we will take a break because okay. I can see the chain is very long and quite interesting.
Yeah.
When we return, you will explain more on this. Viewers, please don't go away. We'll be back shortly.
That's great.
Welcome back. If you are just joining, you are watching Daily Politics on Trust TV. Do well to follow us across all our social platforms on Facebook, Instagram, and watch us live on YouTube. We still have Hajia Mariam Uwais, Special Advisor to the President on Social Investment and Coordinator at Risk Children Program. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Very interesting. I was tempted to continue with the program without going for a break because of what you are saying. But my concern now is in the north, where we have this large number of Almajirai coupled with the insecurity. You think maybe the insecurity is contributing to the, I don't care, posture of some governors not to key into this program? Like you have
well,
Zamfara,
I actually don't
Yobe,
know, as some...
Kano and all.
As I said, one of the governors actually said to me, how much are you bringing? And when we started, it was just goodwill. The Bank of Industry, Stanbic IBTC, I used to be on their board. They gave us CSR. NEDC supported, SDG office, UBEC. They would all...
They all keyed into it.
They all keyed into it. And they all gave us money to start.
Yeah.
But last year, August, we now got a budget that was released in October.
So and the budget was released?
Yes, the budget
Meaning
was
no
released.
Financial problem?
No. No financial problem up until... So now 2023 budget is yet to be released. But it's important that it be released so that the incoming government can continue. Will
you use part of it maybe to entice the other governors? I mean, those that are not forthcoming?
Well, I'm leaving it to the
Because it's not just about money. There is this low-hanging fruit. Even UBE, UBEC, they don't even key into that. Where is really the problem? Is it that they want this problem to continue?
I really don't understand it, because it's not just the beneficiaries, the children.
Yes.
We're now giving employment to 50 youth per local government. So in some states, it's over 1,000 youth, depending on the numbers. And those youth are open to platforms where they can take ownership of their lives. They're taught entrepreneurship and financial literacy so that they can cascade it.
Yeah.
But also those that are into technology, we are talking to we've been talking to people like Microsoft and Oracle to give them certifications. You understand? Then NBTE says we can actually make them master trainer.
National Board for Technical
Education. Yeah. The guy, the DG there used to be head of Kaduna Polytechnic.
Okay.
And when I went to Kaduna on our scoping mission, we visited Kaduna Polytechnic and we met with him. And he told us about what they were doing with artisans at Panteka. And those artisans had actually adopted Almajiri, and they were now teaching them. You give somebody like a mat to weave.
Yeah.
He can do maybe 10 or 12 very nicely. If you say produce 100, by the end of it, it's all rough. It's not done well. So they train the artisans to be able to ensure that the quality remains consistent, and they certify them. So this is what we're looking for. And then, very luckily for us, He now became the DG of MBTE.
Uh-oh.
And so we've continued to work with them, and he's given us his staff to guide us on how to engage with what they're doing. So we just look at, you know, SDG office, so many different SDGs interested in the primary health care.
It's like you really
We go to
able to go to different places.
I went to the
because
Ministry of Education.
You feel that you cannot do it alone.
Of course.
Then
I
what
don't
is the sustainability plan for this?
So
Because maybe by the time this government, which has few weeks to round up, do you think there is an instrument on ground that will entice the incoming government to sustain this?
Well, I'm hoping that when they look at the strategy, they will realize that they're not only ensuring that these children benefit, they're also giving jobs to youth in their community. I'm yet to meet with the incoming vice president. Okay. I know him very well. You know, we're situated under what is called the National Poverty Reduction with Growth Strategy.
Okay.
That was approved by FEC.
Yeah.
And
domicile in the vice president's office.
Yes, that is it. It's a national program as against a federal program. And I need to make that distinction.
Okay.
When you say it is driven by federal, one minister cannot convene the other ministers. They're all at par. One minister cannot summon governors to say this is what you must do. But the problem is at state level.
Okay.
You understand, at local government level. So there has to be someone who can convene, who has the authority and the respect to convene all of these different critical stakeholders. Okay. So as a national program. Now the national poverty...
Instead of federal program. Because if it is federal, a minister...
one minister cannot say, okay, so education is central. An education minister saying, oh, humanitarian, health, you know, agric, all of you come together, trade and investment, let's talk. Inevitably, what you find is they will send directors or deputy directors.
The commitment is...
Yeah. But when we ran the social investment programs, the vice president always had steering committee meetings and the ministers came.
Oh.
Now, this poverty reduction with growth strategy has a steering committee that the vice president chairs. Then it has, as membership, 8 ministers whose portfolios are relevant. Then it has 6 governors, 1 from each region. You understand?
Yeah.
Then it has a technical working group chaired by the Minister of State by Budget and Planning and co-chaired by a governor that's nominated by the Governors Forum.
Wow.
Then its membership is commissioners of budget in all the states. So that way you've got the buy-in. The buy-in. And they will actually listen to you. If you set targets and you say, this is what you agreed is going to be your roadmap, let's work with it. So that's where we're situated. And that's where we get our funding from. But maybe a lot of people ask me why. A lot of our funding, all our funding, I have asked that it be placed in the National Bureau of Statistics.
Why?
Because...
I thought their job is to get data.
Yes.
But you should draw what will be deployed for this from there.
Yes. It's important for me that we don't have one ministry edging out the others.
Okay.
Because mental health is very important. Physical health screening. Primary Healthcare Development Agency is helping us with that. You know, nutrition is important. Skills are important. If you give it to one ministry,
yes,
it will be a federal program. And that federal minister will not be able to convene the other ministers. Okay. So we needed somewhere neutral. And besides, these youth that we're training, we also train them on M&E, monitoring and evaluation, right? So every month they get paid. Once we assign these children to them, they sign up on a safeguard policy that we developed on how to manage children, right? How to identify children that are traumatized and all of that. And then they now have commitment letters, and then they go and identify the children that have been assigned to them by the state, and they get parental consent or the consent of the Malam to begin working with them. Every child that does not turn up in school, you have to give us the reason why. Why he wasn't there. So we want ultimately to understand the causative factors in any community or any state for out-of-school phenomenon. So I will mention which state. I went into a state. I saw some children playing, just about 13 of them. I said the car should stop, and I asked them, why aren't you in school? It's school hours. Oh, we're not in school anymore. Why? One of them, I said, what are you doing? One of them says, I'm pushing wheelbarrow. One is selling water. One is hawking. One is different things. One is even doing nothing, you know? Why? They said, our parents were asked to bring Murtala, 80 naira.
Which is less than 100.
Yes, in a year,
80 naira.
80
and
naira.
They can't afford
the parents said they
the level
couldn't
of
afford
poverty
it.
is appalling.
So if this is the kind of
Or
information...
is it interest? Because you see some of these
really
parents
don't
having 4 wives, 3 wives, you know.
So if that is the kind of information we get from the youth facilitators around the state, from the communities, then we know what to tell the governor. That kind of analysis can only be done by an NBS.
Yes.
You understand? Is it distance issues? Is it security issues? Is it cultural reasons? Is it that the teacher is not there? Is it that there's a lot of bullying? What is the reason why children don't go to school? We need the information.
And you are filtering some of these things
yes,
now
so
for
these
documentation.
Yes, so these youth don't get paid at the end of the month unless they send us reports on at least 70%.
It's not the normal civil service thing.
No. We don't want them to fold their arms. You get paid. They must
you have to justify.
You have to justify it. So send us reports on the children in your that are your responsibility.
Yes.
At the end of each month, they send it by the 25th, by the 15th, by the 25th. We know who has worked and who has not worked. We have their BVN, we have their account numbers, we pay them directly, 30,000.
But is it that you have the total number of children you are now catering for? You having?
So if you calculate 50 per local government, then 50 times 50.
Wow.
That's what we're doing. So in one of the states, actually Gombe, where we started, by now we have over 3,600 children who now say, and Majire, who want to go back to school. And these youth, because they have also become their mentors, are negotiating with the parents, finding the schools where they will now engage. Of course, that's a different problem. The schools, are they near enough? You understand? All of those things need to be sorted out. But we're stimulating the interest. You know, a child that does not know about school will never look for school.
He will never.
You understand? If you don't know about technology, you will not look for. So we're trying to get them interested in these subjects, and all of them are so excited. In fact, what was most moving for me was the youth themselves after the training. They too feel happy that they are now part of the resolution of the problem. We don't like seeing these children ourselves, you know. So now you've given us work. And interestingly, we started with maybe them negotiating hours with the malams. Some of them actually agree in their Tsangaya schools for lessons to be held. You know, they give us like 2 hours.
Because I know this was actually what affected the Tsangaya system. I'm really interested in that because of the heavy investment and all that. I was reporting from Borno. They made attempt to penetrate some of these Tsangaya schools at the time, but the teachers, I mean, Malamai, you know, Malamang Allo, you know, they were not forthcoming. But later, some of them started accepting, but they don't want to go to the school that was built with estate and all that. They want the instructors to go to the Tsangaya. They want the Tsangaya to go and teach them.
They want to watch what is happening. We don't mind. There's no secret. Full disclosure. We're teaching them so that when they go into, when they are able to learn any skill, they can sell their products without being cheated. You understand? Because this is the life we're in now. Like it or not, the context is in the markets, we use numbers, not the Arabic numbers. So you need to allow these children to thrive in today's world so that they get today the benefits of this world and the benefits of the hereafter.
Haja, is it deliberate that the first pillar is basic literacy and numeracy, and then the seventh, incentivization interventions? This is targeted at the parents, right?
The parents, the gatekeepers. We give goats, 3 goats, per household.
Okay.
Those that
as
agree,
an incentive.
as an incentive.
To say, okay, instead of asking your daughter to go hawking in the morning,
Yes.
take care of this.
But if
goat,
that child goes hawking,
we will retrieve our goat.
retrieve our goats. And then we give 10 poultry
Okay, per household.
per household. So what we have now, the budget we have, is just for 1,000 households per state.
But that is huge. If
Yeah.
you,
So, I mean, we'll
if
be
every year you
managing
will
the money.
have, if you every year you will have 1,000 households, meaning in 4 years, 4,000.
1,000,
And
yes. And we
the
target
multiplier
the
effect will be
most influential malams. But it's the state that tells us these are the most influential.
What are
When
the
they
states
say
putting
something-
in what you are doing?
So they're supposed to set up these, like now, when we supply the goods, the state will bring the beneficiaries to town.
Okay.
We're going to train, or the people supplying are going to train them on how to sustain the livelihood and to make money, productivity. The state takes that, but we supply the items, you understand? So even when we do the training, we pay all the master trainers, we pay their logistics to get there. The state pays for them to come to that place where there's training. They pay for their accommodation. We pay for feeding, breakfast and lunch, and they pay dinner.
I wish we have more time, but in 1 minute, have you taken note of generational gap? I'm using this term to describe states ravaged by insecurity. Take Borno, for instance, Yobe, take Zamfara, take Benue to some extent, that because of this crisis, we have certain category of children, while some have been killed, others have been there. If you put them side by side with their contemporaries, maybe in the South, you realize that their contemporaries have gone far while they are here.
Well, we're hoping to leapfrog. Of all the states you mentioned so far, it is only Borno that we're in.
Can you imagine?
Yes. The other states, Zamfara invited us, and the last minute,
They backed out.
They backed out. So when they called us the next time, I was afraid to go because to plan, we had like other agencies coming with us.
Yes, you need security.
No. I was ready to go, even not the security. You call me the day before we go, and then we have to cancel. We lost money and all of that.
Yeah.
So I just said, look, let us focus on those who have, because political will is key.
It is very important.
Yes, so let us work with those who are ready to support us. And I must commend the governors here, the governor in Gombe, in Sokoto, Kaduna, Nasarawa, Niger, all of them have, really Borno. They've given us a wide berth, allowed us to work. And because we're also, I also work with the DSS.
Okay, yeah, it's very important for...
Yes, because we have data of youth,
Yes.
we don't know them. We don't want to give little girls, hawkers to pedophiles or to people who do substance.
Yes.
So we share all the information with DSS. DSS gives us reports on what is happening in those places, and also if there's anything that's disrupting. You understand? Because we don't have money for monitors.
Yeah.
But these people, they see the long term that is going to really stabilize our communities when we have these children who now can take ownership of their lives, who now have hope, and the youth are supporting them. Even beyond May 29, if Ibrahim has not turned up, you go to his house, what has happened? You're not going to stop because May 29th has come. No, because you're already that child is a part of your life.
Yeah.
You understand? So it's also...
Very good, Hajia. I wish we have more time to discuss this, but I'm happy you have said a lot, and sure, those who listen or watch us will key into this. I have this optimism.
We need as much support, because you can't do this alone.
All right, thank you
Yeah,
very
it
much,
takes a village.
Hajia Mariam West, Special Advisor to the President on Social Investment and Coordinator at Risk Children Program. We thank you for coming to the program.
Thank you for having us.
And viewers, that's a wrap on today's edition. Join us tomorrow for another interesting package. Bye-bye for now. I'm Hamza Idris.